Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience as we were just working on a little technical difficulty on our end. As you've seen, I've been putting some comments into the chat box. If you have questions throughout our presentation today, please do put them there. I will monitor throughout the presentation. We will also have time at the end for additional questions. So we're going to talk today about the decision to go back to school. It's a big decision. There's a lot of factors to consider, and there's many of you that are joining us today that are hopefully thinking about how do you make this fit into your life and what are the different options here at the University of Vermont. My name is Nicole Willier-Fenton. I'm the Content Marketing Manager at our Continuing and Distance Education. I am joined by Vika Pleshakova, who is our Enrollment Services and Student Services Professional. We'll talk a little bit more with Vika about how you navigate that process and some of the things to think about when you're considering going back to school. What are the options at UVM? Questions to help you decide. We've got a great example, I think, of how you can start to think about your schedule and how you fit school into your life. And then a lot of our courses, especially for working professionals, are online courses. And so we'll take a quick look at some suggestions and some tips as to how to be a successful online student as well, because that seems to be a really great option for folks that are working and looking at either adding some different credentials or advancing degree, whatever it is that you're choosing to do. So as I mentioned, Vika joins us. She is also in our Continuing and Distance Education Department, has been assisting hundreds of students over the last 10 to 15 years, and really helping them be successful from our Master's in Public Health program to really whatever you're looking to do. Vika is one of our point people when you're inquiring about continuing your education. So let's start there, Vika. You know, we have a slide up here that looks at the different variety of things that you could do as an adult. When someone contacts you, how do you help them determine which of these things really is the right path for them to pursue, from certificates to completing their degree to a master's degree? What do you start with?
Sure. Well, first I would ask a prospective student what their goal is in life, and whether it's going back to school or wanting to explore a different career option or simply take something for fun, so to speak. We would start there and then see what their life situation is like, because a lot would depend on what your time commitment is going to be and how well you can balance your life, work, school. That's very important. For different people, there are different goals. For the majority of students that I'm seeing, typically career changers who would like to shift their careers completely, go back to school, take all the prerequisite courses, and then possibly apply to a professional school or a master's degree program. The University of Vermont offers various options. You can get a professional certificate, which is not for credit. You can get a credit certificate. You can get a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. So your options are limitless at this point. And as a continuing and distance education student, you can take any courses at the university, given their space and the permission by the instructor for some graduate level courses. It's easy to start. We would meet with you, we would look at the schedule, we will discuss the options that are available to you, and then help you navigate this huge world of degrees and certificates.
Yeah, and how you fit that in. And we have so many people that have gone through this process. And so, and you yourself have gone through this as a working professional too. And so I think that you have a real great wealth of experience on the advising side of navigating that as a working parent as well. And so as I mentioned, and you see up on the presentation here, the slide, these are some of the online programs. This is not inclusive of everything. You can see the full selection at our website, but these are just some of the really popular programs that people gravitate towards if they're thinking about a career change or advancing or adding new skills. We've seen people, especially in the business of craft beer, that's a really interesting career change opportunity for people, especially if they enjoy craft beer, they're interested in the industry, but maybe they're an accountant or they're working in finance. And so it's really wonderful to talk to someone like Vika or other advisors to try to understand how do you translate that experience and that interest into a different career. Is that true?
Right, it is true, and it is scary because you are pretty much changing your whole life. You may have to make this difficult decision whether or not you want to keep your present employment while you're seeking the career change, or if you're gonna quit cold turkey, so to speak, and just dive into this new career and get a new education. So we would be happy to help you with that.
Right. And also on this next slide, we have just a few other options to consider too. Maybe, and one of the things that we always talk about is you can try a course. You can take a course at the University of Vermont, anybody can, to test things out, to kind of say, wow, I want to get my feet back into this. What does this feel like again? How do I incorporate this into my schedule? Other great options are our management seminars. You can do from the project management, the leadership and management, the healthcare management and leadership. There's an entire series, or you can do one day. You can pick one of the seminars. So there's another way to really get your feet wet and to experience what it would be like for you to go back to school. Hybrid courses, I think, are always really interesting too. Could you just describe what does that mean for a prospective student? What's a hybrid course here at UVM?
Sure. A hybrid course is a combination of online and on-campus offering. For most of our classes, it will begin online when you would be given an introduction and you will be sent a syllabus from the instructor. Maybe you will have to do some reading, and then you will come to campus for a week or two. For example, our Summer Academy program for high school students has that online component where the students come and experience campus for 2 weeks, and then they go home and they have to complete the rest of the coursework online. We offer online courses through Blackboard, and there's a support from the instructor as well as the central UVM administration and, of course, us, the advisors.
Great. And I also have a slide up here too, just talking about going back to career changers. We see a lot of folks that maybe, in their 20s, kind of in their early career, in their 30s as well, that maybe a health career was something that was always a desire, but maybe you had an arts background, you had a humanities background, you weren't that strong in your sciences. We see folks all the time that they still have this desire and this kind of yearning to work in the health field and in medicine. And so some of the programs that we have listed here are really great bridges to be able to do that. Our post-baccalaureate pre-medical program and some other avenues that are fairly new to online and to and some of our other support programs, integrated health and wellness coaching certificate and our speech language pathology pre-master's track certificate. So there are ways, if something like that in the health field is what you are interested in, there are ways that we can support you on that. And also just a note there, you can take a class. You really can try something here at the University of Vermont. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning, please, if you have any questions or there's something in particular that you're considering and you want us to hear about it, and we'd love to share that perspective with you, these are the questions that I suspect that you ask, and you're back to your point, what is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? These are kind of the most common questions that you should be asking yourself, and we're going to dive into them a little bit more. Do you want to expand your career opportunities? Are you thinking of switching a career? What does that look like? What do you need beyond just the education to be able to switch careers? And we have a video from one of our career coaches that talks specifically about that. Did you not complete your undergrad degree? Did you leave college before completing your undergrad? We've got a program here, which is an online program, which is a degree completion program, which could be an option for you as well. Can all of these meet your goals is really what you want to ask. And then something super important to consider, especially as working professionals, and if you're a parent or sandwich generation, kind of have responsibilities on both sides. How do you have the support? What is the support network that you have to be able to make this successful for you? So those are some really important questions that I think that we'll go over today. And we're going to dive a little bit more deeper into expanding your career opportunities. So really what I want to talk about is the why. Why would you do this? If this is something you're considering, and I think this statistic is really interesting, it has to do with a graphic that's up there. It was a 2018 report by the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics that found the higher one's educational attainment, the more unemployment rate decreases. And so you can see as the degree goes up and your education goes up, you have a better chance of being employed, or if something happens in your work, you have a better chance of being able to find other employment. And so your whys here for career advancement might be salary and potential, increasing your salary. Maybe it's just coming down to, the numbers aren't matching, and so you need to make more money. How do you do that? It more than likely is obtaining more education. You want to add a new skill. You want to manage a team. You want to demonstrate to your employer that continuing your education is an important part of who you are and your credentials at work. Did you have any thoughts on just the opportunities here for folks with some of our coursework with expanding their career opportunities?
Yes, and we see that a lot with
Mm.
our non-credit offerings.
Right.
And it's not just for people who are looking to get promoted, for example, or gain a new skill. It's also making a lateral move within their organization and maybe switching a
Departments,
position,
yep. Mm-hmm.
switching departments. And I'm certainly seeing that with a lot of students who are in our Master's in Public Health degree program,
Yep.
or the graduate certificates in public health, when the people are already working in the field, but they need that credential
Mm-hmm.
to move up. We're seeing the same thing with the digital marketing
Yeah.
certificate when the students, adult students are working in the field already, but they need that credential to move a little bit further, either with a skill or promotion,
Absolutely.
getting a promotion on the workplace.
And we hear great outcomes of folks in our public health programs and our digital marketing programs, that they have obtained the positions that they were looking for, again, sometimes in the same company, because we had a great student out of our digital marketing that was in marketing originally, got moved just from reshuffle in an organization and into HR. And so through the certificate program, she was able to move back into marketing. And so sometimes that's just kind of shifting around in career advancement. But then there's, I want to change careers. Going back to the craft beer industry example, you're in finance, but you love craft beer. How do you connect those two things? And I think that that's a really interesting thing that we talk a lot to students about. And you're not alone either. And the statistic up here is really kind of interesting, that about 1,000 consumers in a recent survey, 32% said that they have thought about it, and 29% have made at least a complete career switch since they graduated from college. So you're certainly not alone. And the question really is, well, why do people do it? And the majority of people do it for salary increase. And then it's just the interest. Also, that's a great question for you to consider. Does my interest equate to a better financial position for myself as well? And I thought this was interesting too. This is from MarketWatch report. In May of 2018, the number of Americans who quit their jobs was the fastest rate since 2001. So people are willing to move. But what do you need to be able to do that? Likely you need experience. And so that's interesting. We have some interesting advice from our career coach, but education.
Mm-hmm.
And you advise a lot of folks that are thinking about this as well.
Correct. And I think it's also because there are so many more options in education right now. We have moved a lot of programs online, which has made it more flexible for the students to obtain their degrees or certificates, or just take courses. There are a variety of programs out there, and we as a continuing education unit are recognizing that, so we're trying to help our students and create as many flexible programs and opportunities to take courses as possible.
And we're going to show you an example. We have a video next of our career coach, Sue Schlom, describing what that means and how you can change careers. And then we'll talk right after that video. We're going to give you an example of an actual calendar. A week and a half in the life of a student as a working, busy professional and a parent. And so what does that look like? So stay tuned. We're going to play this video here from Sue Schlom, and then we'll come back and we'll dive a little bit deeper into work.
The advice that I give to career changers, complete career changers, is don't wait until you're so unhappy in your job to think about a change. Don't wait till you're in a career transition, a layoff situation, or your company's moving out of state. Plan it ahead of time, because a career change takes really three things. You have to be passionate about it. You need knowledge of what's involved in doing the type of work you want to do. And UVM can help you get that knowledge, but you also need experience.
Hopefully that gives you a little bit of perspective that it's a big shift to change careers. And Sue, our career coach, she is actually part of our digital marketing certificate. There's kind of a fifth module at the end of the digital marketing component that is free. And so you can work with Sue to determine what do you want to do after accomplishing the certificate program? How do you beef up that resume? How do you do some interview prep? Because oftentimes, as a professional adult, maybe you haven't interviewed in a bit. You've kind of moved around your different company or done a variety of different things. It's really great that this is a free offering. It's a bonus module on our digital marketing course. And so back to Sue's point, it's not easy to completely change careers, but it's absolutely doable. And education and some experience in volunteering, I think that you probably make recommendations to students how to broaden their candidacy.
Yes. In this day and time, it's very important to have some sort of community service or volunteering under your belt. And for our post-baccalaureate pre-medical students, for example, that's extra important. So we usually connect the students with the network of local organizations where they can volunteer or maybe even get a paid position part-time so that they can get that experience, as well as shadowing in some cases. For example, if they want to go into the health professions, the Vermont hospitals and any other clinical settings are very welcoming of students doing that, just exploring the field.
Yeah, that's such a great opportunity. And this is the kind of work that Vika and her team does. And so when you are interested in this, this is why, we always say, get in touch with us. Ask a question, reach out, and we can help and navigate this process for you because we've been there. This is also an interesting thing. As I listed in the questions to ask yourself from the beginning, did you leave college without completing your undergrad and your bachelor's degree? So why then would you want to take the time to go back and finish that? We have a new program at UVM which launched, I believe, last fall. It's our online degree completion program. And so again, back to Vika's point, having a variety of course offerings for working professionals and busy people. So online, through our College of Arts and Sciences, you can finish your bachelor's degree, and it's an actual degree in anthropology, which has huge opportunities. We have some really interesting blogs on our website. If you search for degree completion, you'll see there's a blog that talks about some undergrad students that had anthropology degrees and the huge variety of different opportunities and careers that they went to. I don't think you need to just think about, archaeological digs. There were people that were videographers and writers and just really amazing opportunities. And again, it comes down to finances. Most often, if you didn't finish your bachelor's degree, then you have kind of left money on the table. And you'll see here that their Bureau of Labor Statistics is estimating about $399 more per week with a bachelor's degree. And the Chronicle of Higher Education actually estimates even farther. They say about $32,000 per year. So that's a lifetime of $1 million that could be additional earning potential if you can consider finishing that degree. And this is another interesting point too. It's from the Pew Research Center that talked about 1/3 of Americans without a four-year college degree said they didn't apply for a position that required a bachelor's degree because they knew that they wouldn't be considered. And so you're potentially leaving, that on the table. And so
sometimes, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Please.
Sometimes that all that matters is that you are having a bachelor's degree. It doesn't matter what your major was, but some employers will say bachelor's degree required, but they don't get into the details, what courses you've taken.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And again, these are things that we want to talk to you about if you're considering how do you do that. And then the other thing that I always think about too, from being a parent and having elderly parents as well, how possibly can you do this? And do you have a support network in place? If not, how do you build that support network? And, these are some things that I put down as, some recommendations, determine how am I going to pay for this? Do you work at a university? Do you work at UVM? Do you work at the medical school? What are different opportunities so that you can continue your education in different financial opportunities as well? What kind of support do you have at home? Is there childcare options if you have children? If you're at class on Thursday nights, is there a neighbor that children can go to until 7 o'clock when you get home? What does that look like? Create a weekly schedule, and we'll look at that in a minute. And I've taken now 2 classes online, and it was the first time I'd gone back to school in a long time. And it was really important for me to set aside not only the space in my week, but the physical space to say this is where I'm going to study because I need quiet, and to have the family really support that. And so are these a lot of things that you really talk to folks about too?
Yes, most of my students, especially in the public health programs, are full-time working professionals who have families. And in some cases, as in the post-baccalaureate pre-medical program, some students uproot their lives and move to Vermont to attend the UVM Larner College of Medicine and take some prerequisite courses through us. And they may have families as well. So it's really, it's not easy finding that balance. So you have to do a lot of checks and balances, and I would say scheduling time, just like you would for everything else. If you have, you know, your kid's soccer practice or your own exercise or yoga class, you would put the time in for your professional course or credit course. So you schedule the time when you go into study, it becomes non-negotiable, and your family knows about it. You have a schedule, you have a structured schedule and time when you're going to do it.
And plus, you're here to help. And I think that, you know, as busy working professionals and parents, oftentimes we don't reach out and we don't say, I'm struggling, what can I do? And that is really what you want people and students to raise a hand to say, how do I get the help that I need?
Yes, you need to stay in touch. We have the resources available to you. We have tutoring, we have a writing center on campus. If you need more help with the tutors that you can get that get paid for extra work, we have a counseling and psychiatry services, UVM campus medical center as well. All of the resources are available to you as students.
Yeah, just taking advantage of that and asking for help if you need it when you're trying to fit all this in. So back to Vika's point, this is how you can fit it in. This is just an example. I chose an example from an online course because you'll see in here week 1, the module is open on Wednesdays. And so in week 1, you know, you'll start your reading for that first module, and then by Sunday you have some sort of assignment due. It may be a discussion post, and then Tuesday typically is a larger assignment due. And so what you kind of see here is how you could possibly fit this in. And back to Vika's point, you schedule in, you know, Sarah's piano or Sarah's basketball or dance class. You need to schedule in the time that you want to be able to study and you want to be able to complete your work, or else it won't happen. And then you get into that cycle where it's stressful and it's not feeling rewarding at that point too. And also just thinking about your classwork, bringing it along in different situations. For example, my daughter has gymnastics on Saturday morning, and so I sit there with my laptop and I read. You know, I'm not going to complete an assignment that day, but I'm at least going to get a few of the readings done. Or if a child has an athletic practice, and can you sit there and read a couple more articles? How do you keep weaving this in to things that you're doing when, of course, it's fun to chat with the other parents, but, you know, at this time you're trying to focus on your own advancement and your own education. Is that the kind of stuff that you advise people on to?
Yes, and I can certainly relate, as I am a lifelong learner, and in the continuing and distance education, that's our mission. We believe in lifelong learning. Whatever you decide to do, just constantly keep developing. And I'm considering another certificate. I got my master's degree here, and now I'm taking classes towards the certificate. And again, I'm thinking, how am I going to balance it all out, and talking to my partner ahead of time and taking care of my child and having other commitments on top of that. So that's very important. And you need to realize that's having the big goal ahead of you. So put the big goal on the wall, but then you have to keep in mind that the goal is going to take these little steps. And your next step is just to complete this one module at a time, and then we'll complete one course at a time, and have these steps completed successfully, keeping the larger goal in mind.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. I can use that as well. But we all can. Not just in school too. I mean, all of it is so great to think about that. And so I just want to dive quickly into online learning here at UVM. We actually have a webinar coming up later this afternoon at 1 o'clock that dives really deep. One of our instructional designers is going through online learning in more detail at UVM. So I'm just going to touch on this. But what does it mean? It means, you know, the lectures, the assignments, the tests are all online, and so you engage with not only your instructor but your peers, the cohort in your class in an online setting, and it really provides flexibility. I think is the most important part for working professionals. But please do not think that an online class is easier than a class that you might be sitting in a classroom. They are the same quality. It is University of Vermont. An online class at UVM is the same quality as a class that you might sit in, as well as a graduate graduate level course. So there is rigor in the class. It is top quality instructors, and you come out of it, the outcome is really valuable, and we hear time and time again about the success that our students have had as a result of taking our programs. This is a little bit of, the kind of a commitment that you may have as an online student. You saw in the schedule before, it's really a 5 to 7 days a week. It doesn't mean that you have to be doing it for 4 hours a day, but there might be an hour during your lunchtime. Can you sit and eat your sandwich and read another assignment, or jot down some ideas for your next discussion post or your assignment that's due that following Tuesday? As Vika mentioned, we use Blackboard, which is an online student portal. And so we can certainly, and we provide training in Blackboard, and Carolyn Sycamore, who is one of our instructional designers, has a course that she can walk people through as to how to learn how to use Blackboard as well. So I know we're coming to the end of our time here, and I just wanted to ask any of our folks who are listening today, if you have any questions, or is there something that you're considering? Is there a certificate program, an online program, or degree program, something that you're considering? And have you thought about some of these questions that we've asked today? We'd love to hear from you. If you don't have any questions today too, that's fine. But here's really what would be the next steps. Sometimes there's a little bit more lengthy application process. Sometimes it's registering that day and you get into the program. Some other programs have a higher volume of students that are interested, so sometimes there's a wait list for programs. So if there is something that you're considering, really what Vika recommends is get in touch. Just let's have an opportunity to talk, and you can see our website. You can see on our website as well, there's chat functionality. You can just fill out an inquiry form if you're interested about something, or you can go straight to that registration to join the upcoming digital marketing professional certificate. And then also on our social channels, we have a variety of channels on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and LinkedIn, and those are just a few of the usernames that it's good to follow us there as well, because we will remind you of webinar opportunities, learning opportunities, deadlines, and also provide a lot of support there also. I didn't know if you had any other kind of parting words to encourage folks to consider this.
I know it's scary, and I've been there, so please don't be afraid. We can help you if it just to listen to your story and recommend the best possible course of action for you. Get in touch with us. We have amazing enrollment coaches, and they'll be happy to schedule an appointment with one of our advisors.
Awesome. Thank you, Vika, so much for today. Thank you for your perspective. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and your interest in continuing your education at UVM. And Kelly, thank you for putting up the email address and our website in there, too. We look forward to hearing from you. And if you still have time, 1 o'clock today, we'll be doing this in the same webinar room here. We'll be doing a deeper dive into what it takes to be an online student. So wishing you a wonderful opportunity this afternoon. I see Kate is typing something. Just want to see if there's a question. Oh, good. You're welcome, Kate. Appreciate your time as well. And thank you very much. Have a great afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Take care.